first, we're continuing our conversation about recycling. Next week, I don't know if you are familiar, but next week is actually the official Zero Waste Week. It started here in Gloucestershire, believe it or not, and it's kind of the lady behind it is Mrs. Green, real name Rachel Strauss. And I went to meet Rachel and asked her to tell me a little bit more about the idea behind Zero Waste Week.
Okay, the aim is to get people just thinking and rethinking about waste and landfill waste and trying to throw less away during that week.
Obviously, people are in their recycling habits all year round. Does this really act as kind of like a bump, a little sort of kick up the bum, if you like, reminder?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. I think we go throughout our year thinking of things that we ought to be doing and procrastinating about other things, and this is a bit of a boot camp for your bins, I guess.
Boot camp for the bins. Tell me about your recycling habits.
Well, we just recycle as much as we can at curbside. We take full advantage of that, and we've also got a really good household recycling centre where we can take things every few weeks when we've got a carload full. And for other things, we try and just shop wisely. So before we buy something, we say, well, what am I going to do with this packaging or this product after I finish using it? And we'll look for alternatives if we know that something's going to end up in landfill.
Can we just talk about packaging for a minute? It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. Sometimes you get 2 or 3 layers, and other times you don't get proper information about what the packaging is, so therefore you don't know what to do with it. And interestingly, when I asked people, what do you want to focus on during Zero Waste Week, the number one thing was packaging.
Right. Who have you been talking to about it?
Well, we've got an active Facebook and Twitter community who talk to me all year round, and they're great because they provide the inspiration for what the week is going to be about.
Right. Have you got a focus for this particular week? Is there one strand of reducing waste that you're pushing more than anything else? What
I've done is the theme this year is one more thing. So what that does is it meets everyone where they're at. So if you're a complete novice to recycling, you just start small, maybe by saying no to carrier bags in the supermarkets. If you're already doing things, then perhaps it's time to just step up and look at one more item that you could recycle. But really, I've left it like that so that anybody at any point along their own journey can join in.
That's quite good because, it's, like you say, it's accessible to all. The Zero Waste Week, are you completely behind it? Is it your baby?
It is my baby. It's
national.
Yes, it is. Well, funnily enough, it's actually kind of gone international. I had somebody write to me this week who's in Australia. Wow. There's somebody in America. There are a few people in Italy. So that's the power of social media, though. It spreads across the world.
You're Mrs. Green for Zero Waste Week, are you?
I am Mrs. Green. She's still hanging on in there.
Where can we find you on Twitter then and on the internet?
Okay, the best place is to go to the website, which is zerowasteweek.co.uk, and there's a sign-up form there. So if people want to receive daily emails during Zero Waste Week to keep them on track, give them hints and tips, they can do that. If you don't want your inbox filled, then I'm on Twitter, which is twitter.com/myzerowaste.
My Zero Waste, simple as that?
As simple as that, yeah.
And if people were to go to the website, what sort of tips will they find?
Well, at the moment, I'm running a series on the kind of everyday items you buy that has plastic packaging. So things like, I've done a series on toothbrushes and toothpaste and deodorant and things like that.
Because most people associate recycling with kitchen products, don't they? And food.
Yeah, that's right. But when we did our own Zero Waste Challenge, we found that it was those sort of things that were left in the bin at the end when we'd recycled everything. So there was packaging from food that we couldn't do anything about. But then you've got things like felt tip pens that have run out, or broken children's toys and other items like that.
The idea of Zero Waste Week is, of course, to have no waste at all. And does that mean you've got to just shop more carefully?
It does really. I think the decision comes before you get to the checkout. It's keeping that in mind as you go around the store and thinking, can I recycle this easily? And if not, is there an alternative product I can buy? Most people don't actually go for total zero waste, but it's just having that goal in mind all throughout the week.
What about food recycling?
Well, most local authorities now offer food collections, which is sent off for compost. We still compost at home because we like to get the compost to use on the garden. And the other thing is that, surprisingly, there's quite a lot of food and scraps and things that you can feed to the birds, and we like to do that.
Let's take somebody then who recycles paper and bottles, you know, the obvious things. They've probably got a compost bin. How can they do this one more thing? Have you got any kind of in your head some examples?
Yeah, okay. One thing that I kind of discovered and found really helpful was that I can recycle the Tetra Pak juice cartons. So, you know, the cartons that you get fruit juice in or long life milk, they've got, if you go to the Tetra Pak website, they've actually got a map with a recycling locator on it. And I was really thrilled because I kept checking it and there was nothing at all locally. And then suddenly one appeared just down the road, 4 miles away.
Where is that?
That's at the Huntley pub behind.
Oh, at the Red Lion, right? Because they've got quite a lot of recycling bins out there, haven't they?
Yeah.
And do people use those?
They are overflowing a lot of the time, so it's really popular.
And is this a new idea then, with the Tetra Pak thing? It's something that wasn't available before in Gloucestershire?
Well, I think when I started doing this in about 2007, they had 20% of the country that could recycle, and now it's got up to, I think it's 91.
Oh, excellent.
So they're doing really, really well. The challenge with me giving people information is that it's so localised, and what's right for you isn't right for me. And one of the other things I find is people say, what can I do with my blue bin? I'm like, well, I don't even have a blue. What's your blue bin? So even the colour of the bins are different.
I know, it's so fraught, isn't it? Do you think that is a problem with local authorities? Talk to me about that then. I mean, obviously, we're lucky to have curbside recycling, but there's no uniformity to it. Everybody's different. What's the biggest problem, do you think?
I think that is a major issue, and you know, if I could sort of have a magic wand for a moment, I think I would like to see uniformity across the whole country, so that we can all help each other and we all you know exactly what to do. Because I read so many stories in the press of people who are confused. They don't even know what they can do from their own household. And I think if there was a uniform rule, if you like, across the whole of the country, we'd have a lot more success. My mum lives in Gloucester, and her recycling is totally different to mine. I think she can do things like batteries and textiles and things like that from her curbside.
Remind us then of the website and how we find you on Twitter, etc.
Okay, so the website is zerowasteweek.co.uk, and you'll find me on Twitter with twitter.com/cut_my_zero_waste.
That is Mrs. Green, real name Rachel Strauss, lives in Gloucestershire but is behind the Zero Waste Week. That's next week. So without just living on toast for every meal, without going out to eat every night, you've got to try and shop carefully so that you don't have to throw anything into landfill for a week. There's the challenge. And if you don't do any recycling at all, then you can change your challenge. Just do one thing. Just change one thing. That's the idea behind it. Save the world. Now,